person, and as a consequence, this kind of incident. Another says, what if I just don't want other people to live the same place with me? So is it enough to get another nation from the country? And he's saying it's not just 1,000 people, it's about like 10,000 people. And I'm not saying that it's halfway to I'm just talking about the facts. Do we have Kyrgyzstan representatives? No.
Я представитель Бурунди. Я хочу сказать то, что не стоит так громко заявлять о геноциде в Киргизии, так как, на мой взгляд, это было лишь одномоментное проявление агрессии по отношению одной нации к другой. И при этом сам весь народ Киргизстана, то есть сами киргизы, в большинстве своем не поддерживали эти акты агрессии. И вообще я считаю то, что сама политика открытого геноцида по отношению к другой нации в странах Среднеазиатского региона сама по себе невозможна, так как эти страны очень сильно зависят от своих соседей, в том числе от Китая и России, и, соответственно, от самой США, которые, соответственно, в критической ситуации способны в любой момент надавить на эти страны.
I'm representative of the Russian Federation, and for genocide I would like to say that firstly, we don't have the guarantees that Central Asia cannot get the genocide at all. And secondly, the genocide in Kyrgyzstan, it was moderated because people were killed and innocent people were killed at that moment. It doesn't matter which conflict these people had and will have in the future, but when a nation tried to destroy another nation, that's what we call genocide. And it happened in Kyrgyzstan. Uzbek people were killed. They were as a refugees forced to go to the other countries to leave the place where they lived for 10 years, 15 years. They were forced to leave that place, and it doesn't matter what happened at that point. It was genocide. Since people were scared to live where they lived for a couple of years, we can call it genocide. And protecting Kyrgyz side and Uzbek side will be it won't be right, because Kyrgyz people will protect and say, no, it wasn't moderated, and Uzbek people will say, no, it was moderated, because they were forced to leave that place. Even when they share that place, they have to share it, and they have to have a legal agreement on how they share it in order not to have this kind of problems in the future. Thank you.
Я представитель Израиля. Как только что отметил представитель России о том, что Киргизия хотела, народ Киргизии хотел полностью убрать с земли узбеков. Я не согласен с тем, что, во-первых, геноцид – это преднамеренное убийство или же так уничтожение полной всей нации. То есть цель киргизов была не уничтожение данной нации, а просто изгнание из как бы якобы их земель. Спасибо.
Here's a. Why don't we move our cameras over that way? I think some of the people over there wanted to speak. Do you have a comment?
Знаете, проблема сепаратизма, то, что сейчас заявление о том, что иммигранты должны были куда-то быть сосланы и так далее. Мы должны понимать, что сепаратизм не решит наши проблемы, эта территория остается одна и та же. Возможно, да, вот, например, у нас в нашей стране создалась автономия, да, возможно, это решило часть каких-то проблем, да, у них теперь могут свободно проводиться выборы, но земля одна, ресурсы одни, и поэтому это не решит никаких проблем. По поводу исторических, чьи земли принадлежат, это очень сложно доказать, чьи земли это земли были изначально, и тут, конечно, не обходится без согласования двух сторон.
Здравствуйте, я представляю Российскую Федерацию. Я хотела бы несколько поправить делегата Израиля. Геноцид – это действия, направленные на полное или частичное уничтожение национальной, этнической, расовой или религиозной группы людей путем убийства членов этой группы, нанесения тяжкого вреда их здоровью, гонения с территории, на которой они жили довольно продолжительное время. Геноцид, естественно, это плохо, это недопустимо. И я повторюсь, наряду с тем, что в странах Средней, Центральной Азии очень силен рост национального самосознания, необходимо также проводить разного рода тренинги, уроки в школах, учить детей пониманию толерантности и терпимого отношения к представителям других наций, конфессий, культур, взаимного уважения, чтобы ни в коем случае не допустить ни кровопролития, ни страшных фактов геноцида. Спасибо.
I have a question for our Russian delegate. You have at times supported through arms and other support to some of the nations that are attacking Israel, like Syria. Right now, you're warning everybody to back off. There's a lot of countries that are kind of ganging up on Syria, for example. But Syria has been, has caused some problems. And my question is simply, I mean, certainly whether they've actually administered genocide, there are certainly genocidal intent on the part of many people in the Middle East who would like to totally destroy Israel if they had a chance. Why do you continue to support countries that have supported the enemies of Israel?
May I respond to your question?
Please.
You said this is a rather ticklish one, and this is a big policy, and this is first of all economics. Our country started to provide arms to Syria long before the conflict, and we have still a great many documents, a great many agreements
Okay.
in which we are to give some arms to this country. You see, we are not intended to destroy Israel, and we have discussed this on the model that our students had some days ago, and in the resolution we had the point that Russian Federation is agreed to stop to arm Syria for some concrete period of time, not to continue this conflict.
Okay.
Can I have a question? My question is again rather general. I read that UN's mandate forbids intervening in the internal politics of any country unless the crime of genocide is being committed. Is it true? Я по-русски повторю. Вот я прочитала, что по мандату ООН не имеет права вмешиваться во внутреннюю политику какой-либо страны, пока там не совершен акт геноцида, то есть преступления. Вот как бы так и есть, да, по мандату? Вообще. Тогда вопрос такой, а как определяется именно вот, что вот уже акт совершился, какое количество должно быть, я не знаю, убитых, или что должно вот именно произойти, чтобы он поняли, ага, вот все, crime of genocide is committed, пойдемте помогать. По-английски знаешь?
Well, I'm the representative of Italy, and I want to answer your question in a way like, as you ask about UN does not has any right to make, what can I say, or to deal with any problem of any country until this country would not ask help. For example, if Italy has any problem, and if I do not want, our country do not want, for example, to UN to solve this problem, so UN cannot come and cannot support us because we don't want, it depends on the country. If the country want the help of UN, then they can come and they can help and do something.
Does that mean that the head of the state should ask for the help, or like who should ask for the help then?
Look, you are, for example, you're a member of UN, yeah? And you had any problem, and if you need this help, and if you want UN to help you, you will go to UN. UN ask the help from UN, and of course UN will have such conference, and then they will decide how they can help this country.
Okay, and if the country does not ask for help, and they're like making the genocide, and they're like find satisfied with it, and they don't want someone to interfere in their internal politics, what then?
UN cannot do anything. No.
And what about
Okay. Well, I was just going to follow up on that. Do you think that the UN should expand those powers, both in the definition of what is genocide and its powers of to become involved? For example, it's not technically genocide, but in the last 20 years, nearly 900 journalists like us have been murdered around the world. Some countries it's a lot worse than others, like Russia, 52 people, 52 journalists have been murdered. What should the UN do to protect these groups that are not ethnic, are not, but they are nonetheless being destroyed somewhat systematically by enemies of humanity, I guess you could say. Should the UN get more involved in those sorts of issues?
I think we should help to such people, because these are those people from whom we get the main sources, and who, for example, really put the issue, who really found the issue on which UN can gather and they can solve this problem. I don't know in which way we can help them, but maybe you could decide it in the conference and try to help them.
I'm representative of Russian Federation, and I would like to say, do we have a certain number of people that needs to be killed in order to do something in the UN? I think we don't need to have a certain amount of people to get killed in order to make an actions. People should face the fact that when genocide is starting, they should immediately work, and Security Council are the ones who needs to decide what to do with the nation, with the country that are doing these actions. Let us say, for instance, in Kyrgyzstan, genocide happened. We need to admit it. And Security Council needed to be there at the moment when it started. Not when thousands of people were killed, not when 10,000 of people were killed, just the beginning. When it comes to hundreds, people need to act. UN needs to act when it comes only to hundreds, because otherwise it expands really, really fastly. From 100 people, it may go on 10,000 people, 100,000 people. Why do we need such kind of victims in our country, in our world? That's why United Nations needs to take an urgent actions in the beginning of the genocide, before it started. That's why we don't have a certain amount of people who needs to be killed in order United Nations to start the actions.
I have a question that is rather practical. That's a good answer, definitely, but how do you imagine 193 member states? How does the UN, how can it separate us, be just on the scene everywhere, so to keep an eye and be on time to help when they're...
Well, firstly, the first one country, we said that internal conflicts, that the United Nations do not interfere with internal conflicts. But when in the country the other nations are get killed, that's what we define genocide, why United Nations cannot look at it? It's an amount of people, it's another nation, it's not even the nation of the country. That's why they need to act. I think it's very visible, not only me, but Russian Federation would think that's very visible when different nations get killed in the country. If we have Uzbek people, again I'm using this example, if we have Uzbek people killed in the Kyrgyz territory, then it's visible. Since Uzbek people lived there peacefully for a couple of years, the United Nations should see the fact that something is wrong in there. The United Nations will know that there is, but they don't take action right away because they think it's still an internal problem. They should not. When hundreds of people are killed, they need to take actions right away because otherwise the number of victims will expand. Thank you.
This delegate here, I think, was next.
I'm sorry. First of all, we have the International Court, which decided to, for example, they can abuse the one country if they make a genocide actions against the one nation, and of course there is a sanction, economical sanction. They, for example, limit the country in international trade, and unfortunately, this kind of measure it's helped. The country have to admit that they have a genocide, and they have to make some points and make measures to stop against the people.
Я представляю Российскую Федерацию. I'll speak in Russian. Ну, в первую очередь, если мы затрагиваем вопрос о том, что должна ли ООН вовремя реагировать на акты проявления геноцида, то мы должны сказать, что в первую очередь существует государство,